anything can happen and anything can change. It would have to be a miracle, but I want to talk about the truth about reform, because this still seems to be a bone of contention with a lot of people watching my content. So I want to make it clear again, and I'm probably going to have to make it clear 6 million times after this, but I think it's really important. I am not a supporter of reform. Get that in your brain. I am not a supporter of reform. I am not a plant of reform. I never have been. I am not a member of reform. However, reform are our only option on the right in Wales right now. And that, it's incredibly sad that is the issue, but unfortunately it's the truth. Reform are it, right? Now, obviously, we got to take in consideration when we vote in the parties that have the most candidates standing. For me, they've got to have 16 candidates, 1 in every constituency. Preferably 6 in every constituency. And there's very few parties that offer that right now. And so we've got to look at it and think, right, what is, unfortunately, the lesser of the evils? Because there isn't a party in this election right now who I would say are contenders where all of their policies I agree with, everything they've done I agree with, the plans, all that type of stuff I agree with. That party doesn't exist for me. Would I ever vote Plaid? Not under this current election with those policies and what they want to do to Wales? Absolutely not. Labour, well, I think we know about Labour. We only have to look at the last 20 plus years and we can see what Labour have done to Wales. So Liberals, not in the running for me. And the small parties, there are some, cracking small parties like Heritage and Gwlad and all them. Don't agree with everything they stand for. But the problem is that they don't have all candidates standing in all constituencies, 6 seats per constituency. And this poses a problem. They'll never be the majority. And I know that the Horn system means that these small parties can get in, which is wonderful. But the fact of the matter is, whoever is going to lead the Senedd needs the most amount of seats. So there has to be a majority party. And for me, it is a toss-up between Plaid and Reform. So guess what, folks? Since I'm not going to be voting for Plaid, what other option do I have? You tell me what other option under those circumstances do we have in Wales? And I can tell you and guarantee there's a lot of people out there that are not Reform supporters. Don't agree with a lot of what Reform stand for. But the fact is, we have to get this Labour-Plaid government out of the Senedd. They cannot lead our country. We need something fresh. Now, in 5 years' time, when we got another election in Wales, we can vote for someone different. Hopefully, there'll be a party that fits more with my convictions, right? But right now, Reform are it. And so I wanted to make that clear. Matthew, what do you think about the situation? Because people are constantly saying, oh, you're a Reform plant, you're a Reform supporter.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's a damning indictment on Welsh Conservatives.
Right, yeah, true.
Sure, we're more right-leaning. We've never hidden that. And I voted a different number of right-leaning parties for different elections over the years. And I voted Welsh Conservative in the past. And, but doing that now, well, it's a wasted vote, isn't it, ultimately? Yeah. I'm not going to go down the whole line of it's splitting the vote because, I think you should vote for, out of conviction and who you want to vote for. But it is a wasted vote because they're not going to get anywhere, and that's a damning indictment on the Welsh Conservatives.
Yes.
So Reform have taken the lead in terms of parties on the right, and it's held the brunt of damning indictment on some of their backdoor dealings and what's happened in the background, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm not particularly a fan of Nigel Farage. And you're the same, aren't you, effectively?
Absolutely.
But, as you said, it's the only option. So what are we to do? So what else can we do at this stage other than to say it's likely I'm going to be ticking that vote, ticking that box? It's another indictment on the right that we can't get our act together and come up with something that is more tangible to the wider population, to the more centrists maybe, because I think the leftists are going to go and vote left no matter what, no matter what nonsense, and they do come out with such nonsense, which we've recently highlighted in some parody videos.
Sure.
But they come out with nonsense, and they're going to throw their weight behind that nonsense no matter what, and they're going to throw as much mud at the opposite side as possible.
Yeah.
So we're in that situation where we've got a tough choice.
And I think a lot of people, especially former Labour supporters, we've talked to a lot of them, been on the streets talking to people, and I've talked to people as well myself. A lot of Labour supporters, and we know Labour is left-leaning, they now have gone over to Reform. So I don't even think this is more left or right, Matthew. I don't think it is a toss-up. I think this is about what do these parties want to do.
Well, you say that, so many Conservatives have crossed over.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Conservatives for the last, 10 plus years have been centrist, have been, there's not much you can distinguish between Labour and Conservatives over that time.
They are left-leaning Conservatives,
they are
I know.
So these people, not all of them necessarily, I don't know where each defector stands on the political spectrum, but, these people have shifted over to Reform. They're going to bring a lot of their ideas with them. So is it true to say that Reform is on the right, or is it central?
This is the issue, because would I vote Reform in the UK elections? Probably not, because I think they've done more options for right-leaning parties anyway for the UK elections. And I think there is more righteous parties, more parties that stand for what God wants. However, when I talk about conviction, we also have to have conviction in the strategy for changing Wales. This isn't just about conviction for do these align with everything that I believe in, blah, 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 because you've only got a certain amount of parties, and I can tell you there's 0 parties that align 100% with what I believe in, not even the Christian Party, because we all have our different values, morals, all that type of stuff, right? However, I have conviction to see change in Wales, and there has to be a strategy in place to do that. And right now, for me, the strategy is for everybody to vote for Reform in order to bring change into the Senedd. If Plaid get in, there's no change. Actually, it gets worse, because they want to go further than what Labour have done. However, Reform would bring change. Because it's a completely different direction to where we've been headed in the Senedd for the last 20 plus years. So we've got to have conviction in the strategy as well, okay? So it's a real balancing act, but I wanted to just put it out there because, again, people are like, oh, it's Reform this, Reform that. No, I've been on a pursuit of who is going to be best for Wales. And I've said every step of the way. Sometimes there's been 2 parties think, oh, it's a toss-up between 2. Right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, Reform is our only hope. But we've still got a few weeks left, and anything can happen. And I am a boots on the ground type of girl. I am watching, I am listening. I still listen to Plaid and Labour and Greens and what is coming out of their mouths and what they're putting out there, because, again, anything can happen and anything can change. It would have to be a miracle, but, we'd see. But the truth about Reform is I am not a Reform supporter. However, they are the only option right now. So don't look to the left, don't look to the right, look at Britain.